Jó reggelt kívánok, úgy vagy. Start of another day. You know, as we were coming down today, I found myself thinking about this quote that I heard quite some time ago. And the quote, it's a rather simple quote. It just says, "You can't miss what you've never had." You can't miss what you've never had. And I think I first heard that quote when I was working in a call center. I used to do telemarketing for a living. I used to sell home warranties. When you buy a house and they give you the realtor gives you a nice little gift when the home closes, and they buy you a home warranty that covers the appliances and the plumbing and the electrical and the garage door opener and stuff like that. But I used to sit in this room, and I used to sit in this room in a cubicle, and I would work about 5 hours a day. I was working about 5 hours a day. I was making about 35 grand a year, and I was selling home warranties. And what we would do is we would call people who had let their home warranties expire, and we'd call them 3 months after the fact. So they were already hit up. They were already hit up 2 or 3 times before their warranty had expired, and then they let the policy expire, and we would call them up 3 months after the fact to sell them on the home warranty. But those were good days. I used to make, as I said, I was single back then, but I was making $40,000 a year working 5 hours a day. I'd go into work at 3, go home at 8 or something like that, and it was good. It was a good time. I could sleep in till 7, 8 o'clock, go for a morning run, do whatever I wanted to do during the day, and then go into work. But the correlation of that story and that of you can't miss what you never had is working in that call center. There were 2 or 3 individuals that at one time had millions of dollars. They had millions of dollars. They had it all, and then they lost it all. They had successful businesses, only to lose those successful businesses. And one of those guys once told me, he said, "Tommy, you can never miss what you've never had. If you've never been a millionaire, you can't miss being a millionaire." And that was quite interesting, but something I never quite forgot. Another interesting aspect of that story, or another part of that story, the untold story, so to speak, is it was a love-hate relationship with that job, because needless to say, you'd get hung up on, you'd get sworn at, you'd get cussed at doing this telemarketing. But I'll never forget one phone call I made to this guy called Lindsay Gorrill, Lindsay, and then Gorrill or something like that. But Lindsay Gorrill lived up in Post Falls, Idaho. And I remember calling him one day and spending better part of 30 minutes on the phone with him. And he said at the end of the conversation, he said, "Tom, I got good news and I got bad news," as he waved his biscotti at me. He said, "I got good news and I've got bad news." And I said, "Well, what's the bad news?" He said, "I'm not going to buy your home warranty." And I said, "All right, well, what's the good news?" And he said, "You are the best damn telemarketer I have ever heard in my life." He said, "Do you want a job?" And I said, "Doing what?" And he said, "Selling garnet. You'll be my international garnet salesperson." I said, "What the hell is garnet?" He said, "Have you heard of the gemstone?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, we mine garnet. I own the world's largest garnet mine, and we mine it, and we crush it into a almost like a sand of different grades, and we use it for sandblasting. So anyway, long story short, is I was the one that I was the success story out of the telemarketing room. You know, it was kind of like the you ever see the movie Officer and a Gentleman, where at the end, you know, Paula, you know, Richard Gere comes into the factory and all the women are there sweating with their garb on and what have you, and I think it's like a textile mill or something like that, and Richard Gere comes in and he grabs Deborah Winger and he carries her out of the factory, and they're all going, you go, Paula, you something like that. Well, Lindsay didn't come down to the call center and carry me out of the call center, but I was the one that got out of the call center and went on with the rest of my life, so to speak. But anyway, the interesting aspect of the going back to you can't miss what you've never had. It really is something. Here it is, 4:30 in the morning, and it's something waking up to an empty house. You know, it's something waking up to a to an empty house. It's not a quiet home. If your neighbor's still here, it would be a quiet home. It'd be waking up to a quiet home. But now, it's waking up to an empty house, and quite the contrast. It really is quite the contrast. But I'll tell you, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I never feel sorry for myself, and I don't have a lot of patience for people that do the same. You know, people that feel sorry for themselves. I've never had a lot of patience for people like that, but and I'm not going to feel sorry for myself as well. But nonetheless, it really is quite the contrast to waking up, you know, knowing that there's nobody in the house, whereas just a week ago the house was filled, and this kitchen would be, you know, having laughter here in probably about 3 or 4 hours. I'd still be in bed. I guarantee you that. If your neighbor here, I'd still be in bed. No doubt about that. But anyway, so that's about it. That's about all that's on my mind today, and we'll do our high hope and get on with the day and get down to the gym. So today's high hope is listen to what's not being said. Listen to what's not being said. Most of us hear people speaking. What's more important is what they're not saying. Look for the subtext. Be aware of what has been left out. Observe their revealing physical reactions. Often the real message is in the omissions. Interesting. The quote for the day is, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. William James, 1842 to 1910. The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. You know, that reminds me of another quote. It's not wise to be wiser than necessary. It's not wise to be wiser than necessary. I don't know where I picked that quote up, but there's been more times than I care to remember when I've called that quote into mind. It's not wise to be wiser than necessary. So anyway, have a great day, and take good care. Bye-bye.